views and opinions expressed by the participants of this broadcast are their own, and not necessarily shared by the sponsors, organizations, or individuals mentioned in this broadcast. It will contain topics and language unsuitable for younger listeners. Parental discretion is advised. You're listening to 3231 Nomad Radio. Hello, everybody.
Is this thing on?
What's going on, everybody? It's 7:13 p.m. It is Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. I am Matt. That is Ben.
Hello.
And you are watching 3231. This is Nomad Radio. Hello, everybody. We're back.
Can you hear us?
Do we sound all right? Okay, so far...
Wave to us if you can't see us.
So far, so good. You can see us. I think you can hear us. We have Dave and Fred in the... I'm sorry. We have David and Jamie. I was trying to make a joke, and I didn't really do it. I didn't land it.
Didn't quite roll off the tongue.
No.
Sound good. Thank you, David.
I'm a little head messed up, so we'll be all right. I'm still...
yeah, let's do Matt's update. Matt, you still sick?
Still sick. Trying to shake it. Getting there. I'm functioning, so we'll make it work. I got my water. I got my mints. I got my notes. We're doing good so far.
Everybody, we got notes this episode.
Yep.
So we're gonna knock it out of the park.
Yeah, absolutely. We have plenty to talk about, which, of course, you're welcome to join the conversation. Anybody watching this, even if you're watching on replay, I want to stress that as much. Anybody watching this after the live show, if you want to be a part of the show, you still can. You can still leave a comment, and we will reference those comments. We've had some folks that have been leaving us some comments that I wanted to address.
We've been getting emails, too.
We've been getting emails?
Emails.
Do you have some presently?
They're terrible.
Okay.
All of them.
All of them are bad things?
Yeah.
Find hot locals in your area kind of thing, or what kind of where was it? My channel, and then no, that wasn't it. That was the wrong thing to do. It was I need to go into YouTube Studio.
So I had a great experience over this past weekend. Thanks for asking. So
no, I was just gonna say I wanted to address the crowd first. Jody was nice enough to leave a couple comments, talking about us. There was somebody named Dan Sakaki, I think the name was, a week ago when we did our Tuck podcast, the Tuck episode.
Yes, which is our second highest viewed episode.
Yeah, that was really nice.
It's, only my own mother brought us more views.
So we
gotta Tuck.
We gotta.
Could you imagine a podcast with Tuck and my mom? That's something. We had to roll the dice with that.
I don't know if we're ready to handle that sort of exposure, that sort of fame.
Okay, so what was the comments, Jody?
But somebody said awesome podcast, and Jenna hope that I was feeling better. It was very nice.
My birthday's this Saturday. Thank you. Yeah, you're just a few days early. Yeah, it's gonna be Saturday. I'm gonna be 41.
41.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss 41.
I asked if I could just keep being 40, and the answer was no.
Well, you can.
No.
You can keep being 40, but not for a very long time.
No. Not just a few times.
But yeah, we had an episode, Martial Arts, Freemasons, and Rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
Some excellent
we fixed the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Which, we need to do as well.
Mm-hmm. Keywords, man. Keywords. That's the biggie. When people are searching for things, the more cool keywords we can have in the video information, the easier it is for things to be found.
I'm going to go without headphones.
That's fine. You can hear me? Yeah, I don't need to hear you anyway.
I can hear you because you're about 10 feet away from me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had some 111 views. And got some thumbs up. This is very nice. Got a couple likes on that one. It's very nice of everybody to...
Imagine what's going to happen when Jamie's on the air with us.
I know. I can't wait for that. That's one of the things that we're working on.
That'll be the first episode that we get like 1,000 views on.
I've had health distractions. I've had, the weather.
Life's going to get in the way, buddy.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Yep. Like them ears. Hey, thank you.
Yep.
I've had
so a really awesome event that I went to. You want to talk about that? The
well,
self-reliance.
We absolutely will.
Oh.
Let me just say, first of all, Jamie said, is that famous two guys from that one thing? It is true. Keywords like Coolio and Groovy Man. I appreciate your spirit, David. What I was trying to say was thank you guys for following. Thank you guys for your feedback. We appreciate the feedback. Keep that coming. And you don't have to be on the live chat in order to give feedback, because whether you're on TikTok in the comments or you're leaving comments on, like I said, YouTube, or like Ben said, email, or however, smoke signals, I don't care. As long as you're...
Contact us on the CB.
Yeah, as long as you're...
Breaker 3231.
As long as you are giving us feedback, that we appreciate that, and it helps us get more content, better content out to you. Now, Benjamin.
Yes.
My good friend.
So excited. I'm chomping at the bit here to tell everybody about my weekend.
How are you doing? How was your
I'm
weekend?
a mess, Matt. But anyways, no, so I went to this self-reliance convention, because that's what everybody needs, is more self-reliance in their life. For sure, right? I mean, like, who's too independent? You know, like, I make my own jeans and, like, you know, have bees and, like, you know, nobody is that person, right? Everybody's dependent on the system that's around us.
You cannot you cannot be fully self-sufficient.
Yeah.
You know,
it's impossible.
This is 100%. A society required. You're shaking the.
Oh yeah, here I'm gonna get off there.
No, that's cool. I was doing it myself.
We could counteract the shakes, and then all of a sudden it's like, are you guys in a wind tunnel?
No, we're just really excited. It's really.
But it was out out towards Nashville, on the other side of Nashville from us. So it was like a good 4-hour drive there, and it was beastly hot, buddy, this weekend. As you felt it.
Upper 90s this week with the humidity up to about like 105 degrees.
It was crazy,
feels
dude.
Like.
And we were under a tent, like no fans or air conditionings or whatever, just a big giant like circus tent.
How can you do that?
And they had a garage that was like covered too, and there was classes in there as well as classes under this big tent. But I got to meet some people that I've been like fans of for a while. Billy and William from Permanent Pasture Farms, talked to me at length about different stuff, and even William's talking about maybe coming here and doing a composting workshop for all the different groups that I have here in Knoxville.
Cool.
And then the one guy that I got to meet for the first time that I've been a huge fan of is Jack Spirko, and he has a survival podcast.
I saw that. You were fanboying out there.
Big time, yeah. And it was cool that Jack took the time to talk to me, and
you did a one-on-one with him a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, so there was other people there, so it wasn't like I got like him alone or nothing. But
okay.
He was talking to his buddy who sells. It was mead and stuff. So they were geeking out over the mead, and that was cool because everything I know about mead, I know because of Jack Spirko. So to see Jack drinking mead with somebody and geeking out over that was funny, you know. And then I think about, I've listened to this guy's podcast for over 10 years, like 12 years. And then to finally meet him and thank him, because of him, I got into permaculture. So, you know, in permaculture, there's the designer's manual, and like that's the book. So I thought about it before the festival. I might meet him. So if I do meet him, wouldn't it be cool if I could get him to sign my designer's manual? Sure. Yeah. Like, you know, like if you're a Dungeons and Dragons nerd and you got to meet Gary Gygax.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It would be like, that would be the one. Now he of course joked around and said, you know, I didn't write that. You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, you didn't write that, but because of your introductions, you know, like I own that book and I took that course, and you know, you've opened up my eyes to a lot of stuff, and you know, thousands and thousands of other people know about permaculture because of him. So that was really cool.
Yeah,
like to have more things to report back, but just the fact that happened, period. But you know, the whole thing was put on by I don't even know what the production company is called, but it's Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee, and she's like this really like pro freedom, independence, homesteading woman who has a really good group of people that are helping her do these workshops, like basically just big meetups. And then there's different speakers and different events and different kinds of all homesteading or independence related stuff. This one was self-reliance. So it's more, I don't want to say doom and gloom, because that's not really what it was about, but like understanding that even as messed up as everything is today, that's nothing compared to the way it's been in the past.
Yeah.
And most of the past of human beings, life was terrible. And like every night you went to bed, you prayed to God because in your sleep you could be murdered or eaten, by a wild animal.
Yeah.
In
so 2022, we live a life of convenience for sure.
So a lot of this stuff with self-reliance communities is about building up skill sets that you might need or you do need now. You're just paying for the convenience that you don't need to be. You don't need to know how to butcher your own animals. You don't need to be able to do that at all. You pay someone else to handle that for you. And that's fine when the system is working perfectly. But with supply chain disruptions, just think if crime was 4 times as bad as it is now. Like, are you ever afraid to go to Knoxville now? No, you're not afraid to go to Knoxville. But imagine if the murder rate quadrupled or, thefts, went up. There's just so many scenarios that you could envision. It wouldn't be safe to be in a big city anymore. So being able to produce as much as you can out in the countryside makes a lot of sense. Even if it's just for you.
Yeah, part of the foundation of permaculture is the fact of being able to rely on,
more local systems.
The whole aspect of it, it's a spiritual aspect of it as well, which is find out what like. There's a tie-in with a lot of things that the way that you and I are living our lives and the stuff that we enjoy, because living with less, finding out what is truly important, and get ridding yourself of all the extra stuff, and just realizing that if I grow these plants, if I have this piece of property, and how do I maximizing what you have, and the ability to maximizing your potential is super important as well. Tev is in chat. Tev joining us in the YouTube chat. Hello, sir.
Is that one of our oldest fans there? Is that
Tev? It is. Yep.
Wow.
That's my boy.
That's serious old here. How many years?
He's the OG.
Yeah, I was going to say
15.
15 years? Wow.
Yep, he's the
That's
OG.
crazy.
But
a fan base
spanning
spanning 15 years at least.
For him 6 or 7 for no. Wait, hold on a second.
It's hard to keep track, man, with all the math now. How you doing, buddy?
Maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
What's going on? But sorry, I can still
2017.
I'm playing with a handicap. So
no. Yeah, right. Yeah, you're not good at math on your best day, let alone now.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to what you're saying, like having those meetups, having those, that's such an interesting thing and such a valuable thing that you're
and this was a different scale of what I'm used to or putting on. It was I heard 550 people were in attendance, and that's at a whole nother level that I'm not, I don't know how to put on an event that 550 people go to. You know what I mean? When we're doing our meetups here locally, we're getting 2 to 3 dozen people showing up for our events, and those are much more manageable. You get to meet more people that way, I think, because there's less people for you to talk to, but you get to spend more time with them versus, how many people did I network and talk to at this convention? You know what I mean?
And you're talking about playing the odds. Like, if you continuously, what you're doing is you're continuously going to these events and you're exposing yourself to people in the information that you guys can trade, something's going to work. Like if it has,
and we're the big message that I took away from this self-reliance convention was you have to network and build community, and that's the only way you have a chance in hell. Even if you had all the skills you could possibly need, all the gear, all the food, all the seeds, all the farmland, name every material thing that you could imagine that you would need for your doomsday bunker or whatever. And you're still going to fail if you're by yourself. So
the success or fail is not the issue. It's participation, and it's
mass participation
and knowledge,
because we're in a rat race now where essentially every adult in the world is versus all the other adults.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's this competitive game that we live in the
We're
United
bred
States.
that way.
We have it really good compared to
Yeah.
a lot of places in the world where they have it a lot shittier than us.
Mm-hmm.
But again, things can get worse. You know, like we just got out of.
Jamie says Self-Reliance is a great band name for a band that needs no fan base.
Yeah, right. For sure.
You know
Yeah.
what? If you're a band that calls yourself the Losers, you're never
Mhm.
going to fail.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
that's what I'm saying. It's the attitude of, and like Ben was touching on, is that we're in a very competitive, the dog eat dog. Everybody's
Yeah.
heard that term, and that's the type of society that we're bred for now.
Mhm.
Like that's what everybody promotes, whether they want to or not. And like since for the past 100 years, everyone's been talking about the dystopian future,
Mhm.
and like that's the image that people are trying to sell.
Mhm. Yeah.
And your best way to combat that is preparedness.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah,
whether that's
for sure.
whether that's what has been turned into the meme of
Mhm.
doom preppers.
Yeah, I don't like how the media has portrayed doomsday preppers or just prepping in general, because almost all of prepping, and I mean I've been a prepper or whatever since I was 17, so we're talking a number of years I've been in the mindset of a prepper, and it's just being smart about a lot of things,
Yeah.
and like I wouldn't say our parents, but like our grandparents lived in a totally different time where you weren't always able to get everything. So you learned to preserve your food at home so that when things went out of season, you could still utilize those things that you stored yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's basics of prepping. But like, we haven't gone through any kind of real, events in the United States that you and I know of.
Yeah.
Back, the Great Depression was terrible. We keep hearing that how horrible that was. But other than like localized events like the weather, like you lived in Louisiana, like that was hell for people.
Yeah.
They had to survive off their skills. But like long term, like nothing bad has ever happened in our modern time here in the United States. You could say like Afghanistan, but that's craziness over there.
Yeah.
That area has been crazy forever.
Yeah.
There's
most of what's happened in our nation has been we've done it to ourselves kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nicole chimed in chat. Hey, Nicole, they don't want people to be prepared.
Yeah, our generation are spoiled. And that's why we need to be worried, because people are spoiled and people have a sense of entitlement that when people go to the grocery store and it costs $1,000 to leave with what $100 bought you last year. You know what I mean? Like, are people ready for inflation that high? Because the cost of growing food has gone up. Do you really think farmers can continue to grow food for us and lose money? No. Farming is hard enough as it is, and then, there is less than 1% of our population are farmers, and they're making all this food for all of us. And then you look at what big food has turned into, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's the same companies that own the pharmaceutical industry. So they have us being slowly poisoned with this mass market food, which for the most part is almost all garbage processed stuff. You know what real food is? It's called animals. We've been eating them
Plants
for
and animals, yeah.
millions of years. Well, even plants, you got to be careful, because certain plants you can get away with eating a little bit of. But if you start eating a lot of it, it can do serious issues to a lot of people. There's nothing that you need from a carbohydrate. It does not. You don't need carbohydrates. You can get everything you need from eating meat. Now that is going to get boring. So that's why I'm a big proponent of, growing vegetables or growing squashes, growing, having greens that you can fry up. So at least you're eating something fresh, from the garden.
Well, and also,
we can do that. That's not that hard.
And the medicinal factor of it as well. Like, I don't think a meat is going to cure anything. A meat won't.
It gives your body every single thing it needs to rebuild itself.
I know, but I'm saying, like, if you were to burn your hand. Meat's not going to.
No, but comfrey would definitely help with that, though.
That's what I'm saying. So there are advantages.
Oh, there's other purposes of plants for sure. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
And I think talking about the complacency, I think that's gone one step further in the fact that people, not only are things going bad,
Mm-hmm.
but people aren't necessarily doing anything about it. Most folks aren't. Like,
Well, the
if
people
you,
that we're surrounding ourselves with are.
yeah, okay.
So yeah, our community is getting to the point where we're between our two local groups, we're almost to 1,000 people. And when we're doing our events, we're getting 2 to 3 dozen people out, and they're different people. Some of them are brand new people, but half the people are returning people. So we're doing more and more events where we're getting to know each other and showing each other what we're made of. And that's a key goal for me as the person who's setting up these meetups is, it's got to be different. It's got to be different events that involve different kinds of people. You know what I mean? Because if you do plant swaps every single time as the event, you're only going to get people who are interested in plant swaps at those events. You know what I mean? And it takes all kinds of people for a community, and especially a community that you want to try to surround yourself with for the impending apocalypse.
Yeah.
How does that look, and what is an apocalypse?
Yeah.
What is the end? Or there's lots of people who are smarter than me, and they've been forming communities on lots of land with lots of homes of lots of people who are highly skilled and setting themselves up in systems where they're not reliant on this massive machine that you and I are. They're way more self-sufficient. They're way more sustainable.
Right. But on a day to day, like like going to the gas pumps to get something to get some gas, you're not going to hear somebody go, you know what we should do is this talking about systems and talking about gathering knowledge and helping each other out. You don't hear, but you hear somebody bitch about, well, you can blame that guy in office and you can get him for another 4 years if you want, if you like the gas prices up.
But that doesn't solve anything.
Exactly. And I'm like, you are actively doing something. You are actively participating.
Well, that's permaculture, though, is coming up with solutions to problems.
Yeah. But I'm saying that, like, that's part of that complacency, one step further from the bad place that we are. Like David's saying in chat.
This is the book right here. There we go. Permaculture, a Designer's Manual by Bill Mollison.
The Permaculture Bible, if you will.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. It's let's see how many pages it is. Even it's a huge tome. It's not meant to be read like a regular book.
It's for reference. You're not supposed to read an encyclopedia cover to cover.
Like 560 some odd pages or whatever. And it's an expensive book. I mean, when I bought it, it was well over $100. But most like resourceful books like that are kind of expensive. You know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of permaculture books that I have that are not cheap books by any means, but they're also, I mean, I haven't been able to afford all the really expensive ones.
But that's an important job for us, is to I mean, not getting all the books isn't necessary. Gathering all the sources isn't necessary. But
it's having a nice collection of stuff to inspire people with.
Surrounding yourself with people that can provide you the at least the knowledge of the existence of those. How like that's a good job for you is to occasionally, and for us is to once in a while show up and tell people, hey, there's this really cool thing. If you're interested in this, go here. Like to at least
Tuck's gonna go fight some men.
Well, thank you, Tuck. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. By the way, sorry I didn't mention it earlier, but Tuck jumped in, said, "Glad Matt's feeling better." Yeah, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I am feeling a little better. Heading out to go fight some dudes. Adulting responsibility. Jamie, pink eye. Try some raw pork. Yeah, right. Just rub it right in your eye. It'll take care of this shit. And yeah, like David's saying, like we're due for the Great Depression round 2. Bad enough as it sounds, it's all cyclical, and you're going to have times of prosperity, and you're going to have times of that you don't. But
what's great though is that what's great that everybody that is currently listening to our broadcast now, it's not too late. It's really not.
Yeah, it's not unavoidable. Right?
No, because if you think that we're only 2 years from like some kind of serious breakdown in society, that's 2 years that you have to gain skills, to practice those skills, to start gardening, to start raising rabbits or goats, or, learning how to make beeswax. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that like your grandparents knew how to do. Like, of course I know how to do that. I'm not a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Of course I know how to preserve food, or I know how to, make fig jam, or, insert like 9 billion things that you and I don't know how to do. But we do know how to watch TV. And speaking of TV
and YouTube,
well,
that's what, like that's the complacency I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is that you can say we're doomed, and then you like, okay,
no, we're not.
Yeah, exactly. One, no, we're not.
Yeah.
And two, if we are,
I'm not. You might be, but I'm
yeah,
not.
oh, right.
Yeah.
If we are, you have a chance to do something about it. If you're just saying everything's going to garbage and you're not doing anything about it and you're not contributing in any way, and you're not coming like people will talk about the problems, but they won't spend that energy to talk about.
So
solutions.
I don't believe for a minute that I have worldwide global influence. But
well, you do.
But not at the degree that I need.
You have access to that, and we're on it. We're right
but
now.
But I don't have
internet.
like a massive global reach. Like I don't reach 10% of the population with my message or my influence. Okay, so I have a very small reach with my voice. Now, when I do things locally here in Knoxville, I'm able to accomplish a lot because I've built up whatever form of capital you want to say over the last couple of years. So I'm able to get some things done. At a small scale, I admit, when we're doing our events, we're getting like 30 some odd people. That's a really good start, for the stuff that we're doing, because we could do events and nobody could show up. You know what I mean? We could be doing shows where there's nobody in the chat, or that we could be doing broadcasts where nobody watches. So we have that small window. Now, as we grow, as we network, as we find others that are mutually beneficial to our network, everything grows and everything gets better. So everyone that's involved with us right now, that's either listening to us, comes to my events, goes to the meetups,
has ever commented.
Yeah. You've all added to this. You've all contributed to this one way or another. Matt and I have contributed a little bit more, but we have more personal gain. We got more skin in the game. We want these shows to be successful. We want you to be entertained. But the big thing is we want everybody's continued success, and the more successful you are, the more successful we are. So when we're sitting down and we're asking for feedback, constructive feedback is great. And we have to be able to sit here and take that feedback and be able to apply that to what we're doing. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. It's come a long way, and the show's looking better. The comments that I'm seeing are positive. Our views are good. We got to do it more consistently. That's one of the comments that I've heard was that we need to do better with not missing shows.
Oh, agreed. Absolutely.
But
then again, it's not like
life happens.
It's not we're just not just sitting around and refusing to do it. Yeah. But you have commitments that you've made,
and we've had technical issues, and there's just sometimes there was just the setup that we have now is working to this degree, and anything more is going to require money or time that we're not willing to part. So we don't always have to do live shows. This is true. This is absolutely true. The live aspect of this adds to the show, but the show could go on without it being live.
Absolutely.
And especially when more people watch the show in replays than they actually do live. So that's another biggie. It'd be totally different if it was the opposite, where, we got bulk of our viewers live and then, replays weren't much.
No, that you're absolutely right. The creation of the content is the key to it. And it's also like it's not like problems are keeping us from doing shows. Great opportunities are also keeping us from doing live shows because your time is limited, and like you've had events that you've had to go to. You've had the things that really.
I don't know why I ever picked Wednesdays as being a day to do the show when Wednesday is Earth Talk, and that's been every month. I've missed one. Oh, I missed it because of the daddy-daughter dance, but then we tried to broadcast on that day too, and we had technical difficulties on that day. But that's an event that I've been going to for last 15 months. Try not to miss that.
And that's something we can always do is change the day. The day is not important.
Yeah.
It's doing it that's important. And
Nicole mentioned we're going to Jam Fest for my birthday, so they so graciously changed the whole concert, and it's going to be a birthday party for me.
I realized, the dinner night is no longer okay. No problem. Yeah.
So that's what that catches everybody up.
I cannot surprise him.
No, maybe for my 42nd birthday you can surprise me.
Well, Ben, we're here to surprise you now. Come on in.
Yeah, everybody's here.
Everybody's actually right out just outside the door.
Yeah. But we could transition too into the more mundane, the more conversational stuff, the TV talk.
Absolutely.
Because I have been able to watch some television with Abby lately, and Stranger Things was on that menu. So we started watching Stranger Things, the current season, and we're almost done. We got one more episode, and we're done with this season. And then part 2 is not out yet.
Right. I think it's like 2 or 3 episodes still to come.
Yeah. Yep. Have you? Are you current on Stranger Things? Have you seen it? Okay.
Yeah, I am.
So all the current stuff that you've already seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, would you agree that this season is the goriest one
that I can recall?
Because the other seasons weren't really gory. They were kind of scary, but like not gore though. And this one was gory. Like you're like, ooh, like you see this stuff, you're like, ooh, I don't like why did it bend that way? And
yeah,
you know, like, it's kind of
weird. It's been a different kind of like they obviously they have to go in a certain direction. They have to bring
it's a
something
different direction.
They have to up the stakes, up the ante sort of thing. But
the villain is really cool this season. I think this is my favorite villain because the other villains weren't really like.
You go from like the Guillermo
like,
del Toro type of creatures to more of a kaiju type of a creature.
Yeah.
And now you have to change it so it makes sense that you want to change it to something that's going to be a little more personal, a little more. Also leaning a lot into the cliche, the genre, sort of villain kind of thing. Haven't had the time to watch the newest season yet, but looks great. Well, we won't give out spoilers. But
no, I'm not going to try. I'm not going to spoil anything because Stranger Things is just such a timeless show. I'm really happy to hear that they're giving it one more season, and then Stranger Things I think is going to end, and then they're going to.
Well, they actually talked about doing like 1 or 2 more, from what I've heard.
Seasons?
1 or 2 more.
See, because I heard they're gonna do one more season of Stranger Things, and then they're gonna do spin-offs.
Okay.
So that kind of makes sense to me because you could pretty much finish that. I'll forget it in 5 minutes anyway. Yeah, but the other show that I'm not current on, but I started watching a new show because it took me a while to think of this, is the Halo show.
I think I watched like 1 episode of that.
You didn't care for it?
Well, not that I didn't care for it, just that there were more things that I'm like were more important for me to watch.
Yes,
that was one of those things that I
like a Brave New World.
Yeah. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 things on my list that
Well, that's my TV talking. I'm done. I'm looking forward to the Orville. I want to see the Orville. But other than that, I've really cut my TV way back. We've been watching movies, but I mean that's we could talk about that after your TV synopsis.
Well, yeah. So there's like 10 items that I have on my list as far as streaming content, and that's immediate. Not getting into the movies that I watch or the other stuff that's like the Halo would be one of those things that's like I'll get to it when I get to it. But when you're talking things like Strange New Worlds,
you could almost wait until it's been out for a couple seasons, even before starting to watch it, just in case it ends early and you don't even want to waste your time.
And to be honest, I really prefer that. I prefer something that I could dig into and just binge a season or two. Stranger Things was on my list as well as Orville. Also, Stranger Things. What was the thing I was going to mention about that? I really dig the show, and I really dig the characters growing up. It seems like they have a lot that they can cover, but they're doing it like within their own world. I love the constant referencing of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
and the like it's such a cool. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a cool world that they're a cool palette that they're painting from. That's what I was trying to say. It's a really very neat palette that they're painting off of, and that if they get 1 year, fantastic. If, like you said, they do another year, and then
that'd be 5 seasons. I think you could tell a Stranger Things story in 5 seasons because at a certain point it's going to jump to shark, and it's just going to be Monster of the Week stuff over and over again, and like we've already done that.
Well, that's the thing is that if you do one more season of the main story, this can easily, because it's the
kids are getting older, dude. Like the kids are going to be like 20.
Yeah.
Like the one girl is Max, she is 20.
Yeah.
So I mean, she plays like a 15-year-old, but still, I mean, like somebody, you know.
Yeah, the you have the chance that you could wrap up the main story, and the inspiration of Stranger Things was like Stephen King anthology type of stuff, like amazing stories, amazing tales, whatever, all that stuff. You have the opportunity to, like, which is brilliant for them. You reference that sort of content, and then you go ahead and create it later on. Do an anthology, make it like a Stranger Things colon whatever, the series.
Yeah, like almost like a Twilight Zone or an Outer Limits type show, but to be Stranger
like
Things.
Black,
yeah, I could totally see
Black
that.
Mirror, been waiting for that to come back.
Well, especially with all the actors from Stranger Things could appear in those different shows. I mean, there's ways you could connect it and stuff like that. Yeah, it would be kind of cool.
Right, the Hawkins Chronicles or something like that. Or do some sort of like add on to the Choose Your Own Adventure teen series books.
So
sort of vibe
is Brave New World though? Is that still awesome? Because I've not seen any more than I think like the second episode. I think.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds. I forget how many episodes, but I know for sure that I've loved every episode. That's my Star Trek, and I'm digging it. I was talking about that earlier on. That somebody was asking, Black Mirror is taking forever. I know that's a shame.
It usually takes a really long time to produce. Yeah, and then you're never happy with the amount of episodes that come out in the season. You're like, what the fuck? Well, that Bundersnatch episode that was like Choose Your Own Adventure that took up so much resources.
That was a neat experience, though.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool.
And there needs to be more of that for sure.
And it like that even had Netflix working with WWE in the New Day, the tag team within WWE that did sort of a Choose Your Own Adventure sort of a thing as well. Like it's interactive, like using the platform of Netflix and the idea of skipping, like the when you see the skip the recap or skip the intro kind of thing, using that sort of technology in order to move the content along to like that Choose Your Own Adventure kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's a great pull. That's an interesting thing, a retro kind of a thing that they're using for the, like I said, for entertainment purposes. I dig that. More of that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
but just a plain old anthology series, a little tell a tale. You got 45 minutes, tell a good story, and then that's it.
I mean, like the Obi-Wan David's mentioning. I mean, that's been a fantastic show, and you think about all the stories that they could tell with Obi-Wan Kenobi, I mean, he doesn't stay on Tatooine. I mean, obviously that's part of the story. He leaves, but there's so many stories that you can tell, and like the Boba Fett stuff and the Mandalorian. There's so much potential, and I know like Disney at one point didn't Disney plan on like 12 different new shows, and I know they canceled some and they shelved some others, but
the pandemic just threw a huge wrench in those works. The way that everybody, like, it's a new post-COVID, it's a whole new world that we're living in, and they have to all their plans that they make, and also that's what we've seen. Hollywood is such a weird thing, and the industry is such a weird thing that you could have. There's probably people that have been talking about the stuff that we're reviewing now, like 20 years ago, 10 to 20 years ago, and stuff just gets caught up in the business, and shelved, and
you have no idea the cycle that things go into development hell, and contracts get signed, and then projects just they have the rights for 20 years, and they don't make it, and then it reverts to the previous holder, and then there's a lawsuit, and then that was one thing like that I'm surprised never turned into more than a game setting was Rifts from Palladium. Like that whole setting of a game system blew my mind, and like think about how many cool movies you could set in that scenario, that world, but because of litigation and rights and everything like that, it's never going to see the light of day. So there's all sorts of stories and stuff like that,
and we're dealing a lot of that now. The meta, the level, the layer on top of layer of IPs being used for role-playing games, being used for IPs, like the it's just like, what's strata? Is that the word I'm looking for? The layer of things happening. Somebody talks about a movie, and then they talk about the IP and using it for a TV series, and then they talk about games and the merchandising, and then all the politics and people. Crazy. And you're dealing with Hollywood. You're dealing with people that know people, so something can get fast tracked.
The one movie that I was not sure I was going to enjoy or look forward to was was the Buzz Lightyear movie. What was it called? Lightspeed?
No, Lightyear.
Lightyear. Okay, so Lightyear. Yeah. So I saw that preview. I saw like a sneak preview a long time ago, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I saw like the current preview of it, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay. I see this actually being like a really cool movie.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see it in the theater with my kids. Because I mean that's a you go see it with your kids kind of movie.
Yeah. And who knows how long that's been on the burner? Like I'm sure
forever.
they've been talking about that.
I mean,
since
they talked about doing that movie a long time ago.
Yeah. But yeah, dealing with Obi-Wan, and both Obi-Wan and Strange New Worlds I can put under the same category. Like you mentioned, Star Trek and Star Wars. We've talked about this before, that they're two thriving franchises. Like they're lush for story opportunities, and you can do some amazing stuff with it. It's surprising that we've gone so many years that we're at the point right now where we're just starting to break to scratch the surface of what you can do with those stories. And that's something that we'll cover with all the Star Trek, dealing with all the Star Wars, all the potential new series and stuff. We deep dive into those. But you're dealing with Kenobi, and Kenobi, brilliantly shot. Like it's gorgeous. It makes total sense to us that they would do a story like that. But yeah, like you said,
is
it's
it
a
shot
limited
the
run.
same way The Mandalorian is, all on the sound stages and
Yeah,
stuff?
they figured out how to do it. Like
I don't think most people know that when they shoot those shows, they're all shot inside.
it's like
and
it's like a dome
walls.
where everything. Yep.
Yeah, they have walls that they project the images on. And that's what you see on the TV. Like it looks like they're outside, but they're not. They're inside. It just blows my mind that they do that. But I mean, like that's how they produce stuff.
Yeah,
and
when
like,
you go from like blue screen to green screen,
to the actual place there,
it's the next level. Yep.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. The fact that they're like, you talk about virtual reality and those sort of things. Like
it's not too far from the holodeck. I mean, if you think,
That's
other
exactly
than it's
what I
not
was
lasers projecting it and stuff like that.
That's exactly where I was going with it. You talk about virtual reality and using certain things, like we want to use computer graphics. Well, you're still managing to keep the human element in there, giving people, because the whole, the whole long sticks with tennis balls on the end of it kind of thing still occurs in movies, but when you're dealing with something like this, where you could immerse yourself in the scene and have the scene be a virtual scene, but still have the real actors doing it.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely
impressive.
There's definitely the aspect too that I can see in the future with entertainment where you put yourself in the leading role or any of the roles, and you can experience that movie from the first person of that character. So, you could just, what is the Taxi Driver like from, Robert De Niro's point of view? You know what I mean? Like, obviously you see the movie, but you see it from point of view of lots of people that were in the movie. You know what I mean? But, and then changing out the main star with other stars. You know what I mean? Like, what would Taxi Driver benefit was Tom Cruise? But which Tom Cruise? A young Tom Cruise, an old Tom Cruise? And the way I thought was like my way into this is have Don Amici be in whatever movie you want him to be in. You know what I mean? I think that's a cool concept.
The Amici-verse.
Yeah, exactly.
You can
where
have
he's every
all these
leading
characters
man.
coming together.
Yeah, he's in Fight Club. You know what I mean? But
sorry.
Yeah.
A fun fact: Don Amici, the original Tyler Durden. Just don't know if anybody knew.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's why he disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah. So how you view how you enjoy your entertainment can certainly change, and how that certainly you see with the different ways, not only with like deep fakes and stuff, that sort of tech that they're using as well, but vocally as well, what they're doing with James Earl Jones and the Darth Vader role.
For sure.
Hayden Christensen is behind the mask. He is under the suit.
But he's not the voice though.
But he's not the voice.
Yeah.
But they have it would give a great I think he's also one of the prosthetics within the shots that they do of him, out of the suit in the tank. But
wait, he's in Obi-Wan?
Kenobi is.
No.
I mean, sorry. Hayden Christensen is under the mask as Darth Vader in Kenobi.
Darth Vader's in Obi-Wan? Oh, thanks, man. I didn't know.
Did you not know that Darth Vader was in Kenobi?
I haven't gotten that far in yet.
I'm sorry. I thought
Matt spoils Star Wars for Ben.
No, like everybody's talking. Everybody's talking about it.
Nobody's telling me this stuff.
I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
Well.
I didn't mean to spoil it.
I'm just messing with you, man. I knew.
But you have. Oh, you are messing with me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard James Earl Ray was. I'm sorry, James Earl. I'm messing up the names now, but no, I heard he had something to do.
Dude,
with it,
I'm sick. Don't mess with me like that. You see me on the ropes and you take advantage. So happy they brought James Earl Jones to the voice of Darth Vader. Well, that's the thing is that they're also the voice technology that they're using is like with Darth Vader. They're using. You could do like a deep fake with the vocals as well, and you can use other sources of his other references to his voice and digitally alter it.
The only reason that technology is not better is because of all the lawyers that powerful actors have, because there's zero reason why they need any physical actors anymore, especially with action films and stuff like that. Like you don't need to pay anybody.
No,
that much money.
It's all paperwork. It's all red tape.
Yeah.
It's all legality and stuff like that. Absolutely.
You need a project that has Vin Diesel attached to it and Chris Pratt and James Gunn, and like you physically need them attached to the project because of their influence. You can make a movie like we don't need Vin Diesel to make Groot. You know what I mean? And like we definitely don't need him recording "I am Groot" every single time. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of a waste of resources. But you look at like animated cartoons. Like what does Marvel's cartoons look like? You know what I mean? Like, well, they're not that great. You look at DC's cartoons and you're like, holy shit. Like these are like epic adventures. Like they're as good as the movies, and then you look at DC's movies and you're like, Jesus, this isn't that not as impressive. And, and you look at like the previews for Thor, the next coming Thor, that looks amazing. Absolutely. What does DC even have? What are they waiting on? Like, what's the next? Was it Suicide Squad? Was the last DC movie that was? Aquaman 2, right?
Yeah,
that's the next big one.
Yeah.
Who? I know the first Aquaman made like $1 billion.
They've also been cashing in with Peacemaker.
Peacemaker was amazing, but that was the TV show though. DC's always done.
Well, I'm saying the projects that they're banking on are.
But isn't it so weird that there's different people working on the comics that are working on the TV shows that are working on the movies? Like, you would think it would be
not
more...
necessarily. Like, I would say that the folks making the comics are focusing on one particular. I mean, they're different media, the different mediums, and like
But they're all
would
part
dare
of like
say,
the verse, though.
Well,
you know what I mean? They're all part of the product.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have a group of people that are creating the world. And then you have another division that will adapt that into a format, into a medium, like the movies and stuff. Like I get what you're saying, and to us, to the common person, like why don't they just, like we've talked about it all the time? They got what is it? God Loves, Man Kills, or something like that, or the Phoenix Saga, or
there's so many good storylines that why don't you just adapt those for the movies?
Just do that.
And there's got to be reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
There's got to be reasons why they don't
because they're, like I said, that's all the red tape and stuff that we don't see. That's all the stuff. There's so much to it to the industry that we don't see. We just want the thing. We want the end product.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily see how the sausage is made, sort of thing. We don't see the. We don't see the.
It's also interesting to be able to watch content, watch movies from another point of view, and like when I watch movies with Abby, and it's like the first time she's watching those movies, I get another experience. Because like I can never watch Prince of Darkness for the first time ever again. You know what I mean? Like that first time was done. But I can watch Prince of Darkness with Abby, and it's like a whole new experience. One of the movies that we watched that I thought she did really well with was Scanners. Do you remember the movie Scanners?
Yeah, I'm not much of the horror genre, but I know I know of Scanners.
It's kind of horror, but it's not really. Yeah. But it's a good intro movie because
it's like Lovecraftian sci-fi.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, but it's not really scary. So it's a good.
Michael
it's a good
Ironside?
for. No, there's no like villain or bad. I mean, there's that guy that like made the other people's heads explode.
Yeah, I was gonna say Michael Ironside, but I'm not sure.
No,
Scanners.
No, she did really well with that one, but last night we did Mighty Python.
1981. Wow.
Yeah, it was 81. It was the year I was born.
Yeah, Michael Ironside, Stephen Lack.
It was
Robert
him?
Boyd. Yep.
Okay. Well, he did fantastic. But we did Mighty Python and the Holy Grail last night. And she thinks she's seen it before, but she's not sure. Like she enjoyed it. She thought it was funny. She's always liked Mighty Python.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of a weirdo like that. Because I mean, obviously I like it, but like she would see it as a young kid and be like, "Oh, what's this?" And then we'd watch like Life of Brian, and she'd be like, "What the hell did we just watch?" It's like exactly. That's Mighty Python.
Because it's subversive. It's definitely something that is not intended. Like that's the reason why they made it is because it's so out there.
Yes.
And so the anti-establishment sort of a vibe.
Well, is it Terry Gilliam?
Yep.
Yeah. So I had explained who he was to Abby, and she thought that was funny. And then we watched Time Bandits. That was another one that's like a movie I've seen so many times as a kid, but then to watch it with your kid and for her to just be like, "What's going on here? Who are these little people? What is their map for? Like, what do you know what I mean?" And that whole concept of being able to travel through time and space.
They had there was a
adventure.
great series about Monty Python that was on recently, and I can't recall where it is, but I'll have to look that up at some point. But that talked about the origins of Monty Python, and it really went into details. The docuseries went into great detail about the origins of a lot of their stuff and the reason their history, and it's not meant and not intended for kids. But you have a whole. But thank goodness that there was a whole generation of kids that were exposed to this stuff. And they grew up being weird, and they grew up, saying like this is not the garbage that like Benny Hill and all that stuff. This is though some people really appreciate Benny Hill, but I'm just saying
he'd be canceled so fast nowadays if Benny Hill was there grabbing like chicks' crotches and stuff. And
there's some stuff that was meant to just be pure entertainment and just wacky, and then there's stuff like Monty Python, which is like really like seriously. Yeah, like there's a whole other level to comedy that some people just don't consider. They just take it for face value. I was one of them for the longest time. But then you hear about people like, no, there's some real substance that these comedians are trying to do, or like Monty Python, that they're trying to talk about. They're trying to discuss real topics that end up coming through as the best comedy. And the fact that kids are being exposed to that by their parents. The fact that a child is watching something that they're not supposed to watch, which is one of the big the tent poles of Monty Python is, I don't think I'm supposed to watch this, but it's awesome. I don't get the jokes, but and it's not talking down to people, it's not pie in the face sort of stuff. Although they do that, but they do that like.
Would you say Monty Python's an acquired taste?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Other series that were an acquired taste too. David brings up Doctor Who. Yep. And Doctor Who is definitely an acquired taste, and you can even
a lot of British television.
For a lot of British television is that way. But like with Doctor Who specifically, is that you can acquire the taste of a doctor, and as soon as they switch to another doctor, you're like, I'm done. Yep. Like I was a big fan, but no, I'm not gonna watch because it's really corny. And like I even have this issue with a lot of like the DC shows. They're not real serious in their storytelling. And then like Marvel is a little bit too serious in their storytelling. So it's like, I got to find like that happy medium. And a lot of it is just don't watch it.
Yeah. For every, well, that's the thing. Like the comic books and a lot of the sci-fi, like it's going into the same story, the same topic as before, like Jamie.
David Tennant. Jamie kind of looks like David Tennant.
David Tennant. Yeah. When you're dealing with comic books, you have the Grant Morrisons and you have the Alan Moores and you have the guys that are using the medium to tell like a pretty intense story. Neil Gaiman, that sort of thing. You have those guys that are brilliantly using the medium to create science fiction and like you're dealing with Lovecraftian type stuff and like Highland and all these big names. Like it's a form of literature and a form of entertainment that is very thought provoking and is fascinating to learn about. And as much as you have that, you have the cheese, you have the total fluff, which is still important because you have actors need to work and writers need to write, and you need to create something that's entertaining, something that tells a story. The stories are important. The dumb conversations we have are just as important as the intense, the conversations that we have. I hate Arrow, says Jamie.
I never loved it. But I don't think I've ever given it a fair shake. I don't think any of those. What is it called? The Arrowverse or
the Berlanti-verse? The Arrowverse could be.
I haven't watched enough of it for me to tell you if I like it or not.
Well, they're necessary. Even though some people may not watch them, even though some people may not like them, they're still necessary because you go from Adam West Batman being total camp, and based off of basically a book about a guy who at one point carried a gun. And he's a spirit of vengeance sort of a thing, the dark hero kind of a job, and you have the detective aspect of it. You have all this, you have really campy leading into really super serious, leading back to campy, leading to like the 80s Batman, Tim Burton, Michael Keaton's joint, which like at the time was like, oh, he's so dark and gritty.
That was the first movie I ever owned on VHS was
really?
Batman. Yeah.
So you have you have people telling these stories from different vantage points and using different aspects, different tones to tell the story that they want. And even though you may not like 60s Batman, it was necessary to get you to the point of
what was
movie.
Your first DVD movie that you ever bought?
My first DVD?
Mine was Blade Runner. And I bought it before I even had a DVD player.
I used to do letterbox VHS quite a bit, and I think the first DVD might have been To Kill a Mockingbird.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I wanted something that was like, if I'm going to do it, I want to do like a classic. I want to do something that's Criterion, I want to say was the name
Criterion's the really good release, yeah.
Yeah, but there was that sort of thing. David likes Flash. Jamie likes Flash. Well, that's the point I was getting to. You may not like 60s Batman, but it got you to the point of Tim Burton's Batman. Maybe you don't like Tim Burton's Batman, but it got you to the point of the talking, like it opened up people's minds. It finally made people click about, oh, wait, you can make money doing this.
Yeah.
But we're not so concerned about the money as we are about getting the thing. We don't get the thing without the studios realizing that it makes money. So it's
the
necessary.
greatest
Berlanti-verse is pretty much the same thing as well. This is the point I was trying to get to. The Berlanti-verse is the same thing where maybe you don't like Arrow or Supergirl. Maybe it's a little campy. Like one of the things on my list of the things that I watched was I started binging on Legends of Tomorrow, which is it's super campy. It's like a ragtag bunch. We were talking about Suicide Squad and that earlier. It's sort of along that same line of gathering a bunch of misfits together.
Yeah, their super level is similar to that, right?
Yeah, but and that's the idea of this weekly episodic thing where maybe I don't like every episode as much as I like a nice deep, like Captain America: Winter Soldier was like like a Tom Clancy sort of I forget the other name, but like the sort of espionage kind of a thing, and the government sort of thing. It's not Tom Clancy. I think that's close to what I was thinking of. Anyways, you can have something with like character driven and story driven, and really, a lot of pathos, a lot of some really solid storytelling, and to keep you on the edge of your seat. Or you could have stuff that just it does dumb episodic television is just fine. And
like Resident Alien.
Yeah, exactly. Or I was
it's
thinking
a different
like
premise of the same kind of what funny scenario can happen this week.
Yeah, what kind of hijinks? What are the characters gonna? What kind of thing are they gonna get into? And it's like that's fine. You can scratch that itch of something to entertain me. Like I said, binge watching season after season of Legends of Tomorrow. I didn't like all the characters. I didn't necessarily like all the storylines, and a lot of it was predictable. But when you look at things like Strange New Worlds, you're dealing with classic Star Trek stuff. There are even some people that review it that call it the elevator episode, or the cave-in episode, or the submarine episode, that sort of thing. That like you have all these cliches, but they're not. They're making a good story from it. when you're having a meal, there are only so many. Like you could have meat and potatoes and something to drink,
sure,
and it could be the same thing over and over again.
I've
it'd be
heard
garbage.
that Macbeth wrote every major plot, or Shakespeare. I'm sorry. There's only like 28 different stories, and it's just, everything is just a recasting and retelling of all.
Or
of
like the some people say about the piano, like there's only so many keys on a piano. There are different octaves, but there's only so many notes. It's what you do with them. It's how you use them.
Yeah. Well, like Arthur C. Clarke has written so much amazing science fiction that we'll never see a movie. You know what I mean? But I mean, now they are doing some more of his work, but like there's so many like. They keep remaking shows or remaking movies, and like there's so much content out there. There's so many stories that haven't made a movie about them that they could, or like the different role playing games. Like you think about how many awesome movies could you get out of just even if you just look at all the different Palladium systems like Dead Rain and like Teenage Ninja Turtles. They had one where like giant bugs could like travel via electric cables, and they just conquered the world. You know what I mean? Like there's different scenarios and stuff that you could come up with that would make great world building for movies, or not even, I wouldn't even say movies, but like the Walking Dead format or the long story format of telling stories. A lot of that stuff lends itself for much better storytelling versus a 2-hour long movie, you're done, and then the sequel or whatever.
Well, let's take the IP that you just talked about, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What you have is a book that was based, it's 4 turtles that are sentient, that are trained ninjas, that are brothers. It's a family. Like there's so many different themes, and it's something that's so simple, and it could just be.
Why were they trying to hide their identity? Have we ever figured that one out? Wearing the masks, like they get confused with some other giant turtles.
Or then you could that's the great thing about it is you could always maybe the masks were their identity.
Yeah.
Maybe the fact that but you have 4 guys that have like mountains of fodder thrown at them that they fight, and that there's bloodshed. Like, but there's you could go camping with that.
Yeah.
You can go serious with that. You go to the
Have they ever done serious with any of the movies?
Absolutely.
Which ones were serious? All the ones I saw were tongue in cheek and corny, and then none of them were because they were all for kids.
Well, I think that's part of it as well. Is the fact that like
because the original Turtles were not for kids, and they all were the same color. They were all red.
There have been darker versions of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Comics, though, not in.
Well,
the
I think
show.
like some of the animated stuff, some of the computer generated stuff. I want to say, I don't have this committed to memory, but I know that there were a couple of series where they put like a darker, more serious tone on it. Maybe not completely,
but not as
like for older teen
as
as
like
opposed
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon when I was a little kid was Cowabunga and pizzas and gnarly and
like more teen, young adult than 10, 12-year-old than catering to them. But Harry Potter, Star Wars with shitty lightsabers. Yeah, nice.
Abby and I are almost done watching all the Harry Potters. I think we have like 3 more to watch, and it's been an experience, buddy. Have you seen all the Harry Potters?
Harry Potter and Doctor Who, those are 2 franchises that I just never invested in.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other things that I can enjoy and so many things that I like myself. Like I said, without even thinking about it, I came up with 10 different things that right off the top of my head that
you'd
I
rather
wanted
watch than
legitimately
any of
to
those.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
TMNT were one of my oldest memories. Had a bedspread at one point. Noise.
I dug it, man. I had the toys and I watched the cartoon for as long as it was healthy.
But you love what you love for some reasons, and then it's made for different reasons because they want to see the market, the merchandising and stuff like that. They like you like Star Wars because of the interesting stories that they can tell, where other people like Star Wars because we could sell toys.
Yeah.
And we could put faces on Happy Meals, and we could just keep coming up with new characters, or like what they did with superheroes, like with the merchandising for superheroes. Batman, great franchise. We can come up with 20,000 different outfits that he wears for this one's the ice skating Batman, and this one's the
different vehicles and everything.
Yeah, the outer space Batman. Yeah, so you can't necessarily, even though you want to say I like this thing because they're compelling stories that you can tell from this thing. We've seen it ourselves. You can tell stories with anything. Ninja Turtles deal with high blood pressure. Great series. But
have you seen the new toys? They've re-released the original toys. They look almost identical. I'm sure there's something on them that tells you that they're not like the original, because they look. I'm sure Jamie's seen them, but it's too rich for my blood. I can't be spending my Nicole's hard-earned money on action figures.
Yeah, I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them myself, but that makes sense.
Yeah. They've also have a new series of Marvel action figures. They were like the smaller ones, not the real big ones, but they were on the smaller side. But they're like $12, brand new, and it's like
that was the thing I was going to mention. I did see re-releases like X-Men.
Yeah.
Then I don't.
The Marvel figures they've re-released. Like these are all older ones that I've seen over the years in brand new packaging, you know, just being re-released.
And I don't know if those are like reboots or not. If they're like
they're just different series of older stuff.
Yeah, it's like using the same packaging, using this like pretty much.
It's the same molds and stuff for a lot of this stuff.
Oh, is it?
They have to identify it though, because that older stuff is worth a lot of money, and then you're just pumping out new stuff. And even though like some of these action figures, dude, I mean like $30. Yeah, Black Series. Jamie was saying the Star Wars Black Series, they're really cool, man. But just the amount of money they want for them, brand new, like I don't have.
You got to be in that world. You got to be
exactly.
Totally
I already have the things that I collect now. And none of that stuff is anywhere near that price range. I mean, if I had that kind of money, I'd be coming home with like complete collections of stuff. Like, hey, Matt, I bought all of Mage.
Well, I think
which one? All of Mage.
I think about all the comic books and all the stuff that I would buy if I were me.
Well, that's actually one thing
ago.
that I'm really glad that I've never dove deep into was collecting individual issues of comics. Because the way they have it now makes so much more sense when you can buy the trade paperbacks that have so many issues in each one, or you can buy the hardbound editions and read it that way. Because individual issues, man, I mean, I get the whole concept of collecting. You know, I want to go to McKay's and I want to go through the boxes and I want to see what issues I can get for what runs and stuff. Like, I get that, but I'm so glad I don't.
Can we get McKay's as a sponsor of our show, considering how much you're putting them in business? Can they do a little? Can they give us a little bit back?
Well, you know, the deal we have is I have a manifestation thing that I do when I go to McKay's, and it works with the stuff in the store and it works with the stuff in the free bin. And for people who don't know,
McKay's has your algorithm.
Yeah, McKay's is a used media store, and it's mostly books, but they got a lot of music, a lot of movies, comics, role-playing games. Let's see here, electronics.
Kids, you know how you're using your phone and you're going on the internet and you're looking up something like you want to find out, maybe I need a new T-shirt. So you look up T-shirts, and then everything on the ads from then on and all your social media and everything shows you all these T-shirts and different things regarding the thing that you're looking up. That's happening to Ben in real life. Ben is thinking about permaculture, and suddenly every book at McKay's, for some reason, they're connected to him. He's
for sure with the books in the free bin. Yeah, so people will
your simulation theory
will they'll try to sell stuff to McKay's, and sometimes McKay's says no, and they'll dump it in the free bin out front. So I have found so many books on topics that I'm interested in or that I need to learn about, and it's just sitting in the free bin. So it's like the universe manifested that book for me to find at that point, and there's just no question about it.
The Matrix just wants Ben to be happy.
Yeah, or just wants me to acquire more books so that it doesn't have to store them somewhere else.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job of storing them. And also with your, like I was going to say, keeping just with the role-playing game stuff that you have as well.
Yeah.
Which definitely...
That's definitely an addiction as well, trying to find stuff there. It is amazing because we'll go weeks and like nobody will have had to sell their collection, and then some poor role player has to sell, their $7,000 collection, and they want they want their money fast, so they'll sell it to McKay's, and McKay's there's no way they're giving them more than a couple $100.
They're a pawn shop.
For thousands of dollars worth of books, and then they put it out in their little section of role-playing game books, and all of us nerds, we come flocking to look over to see what you had, and did you have anything rare? Did you have box sets?
Yep.
Did you have modules? Because the modules are the thing that people pay a lot of money for. Is all those adventures that are pre-done, pre-thought of.
$20 a shot. Ben gets a whole bunch for $5 $5 each. Yep.
Yeah. So I try to pick up the splat books and the different modules and stuff, and I thought about counting everything up and seeing how much I have, but I figure that make me kind of sad. But I've also thought about selling books too. Like I have a very interesting collection of homesteading books.
Mm-hmm.
And homesteading is kind of a broad genre. So
you have a library, not just in your office, but also in the garage as well.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of those books out there, and then there's a bunch of books that are inside.
It's
the house
valuable
too.
Information too. Yeah.
It is, and that's a resource for the Knoxville Regenerative Co-op. That's a resource for the East Tennessee Regenerative Network and anybody who just knows me in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, Ben, do you know anything about blank? And it's like, well, I might not, but let me refer to my library, and I may be handing you 4 books.
Have a hard copy. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
I can refer you to a couple YouTube videos, but better yet, why don't I just hand you a book that you could actually have in your hand?
And YouTube is great. If you want to learn like new concepts and stuff like that, or you just want to get an opinion of a couple different people, like how to start sweet potato slips, you know what I mean? Like watch a couple videos on that. You should have a good idea.
But that's difficult to curate. That's difficult to vet because you have to consume so much information in order to see if that's something that
it has my brain. Yes.
Yeah. But because it's important to you, you want to make sure that you're giving people the right information. You're referring to the right resources. Having a book. Yeah, but having something published that actually has all the data in it and pictures and all this stuff in it, like to have a reference material that you could actually put in someone's hand, just ends up being more, makes more sense.
It's funny when there was a really good book that was suggested to us, and it's about doing all these kind of like outdoorsy survival projects and all these different cool little devices that you can make. Well, I'm like, that's a great idea for just like workshops and stuff like that. Like we can get that book and then we can just tell everybody we're going to build this, and we could set up an event and people could come and they could watch us build this cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
And who benefits by having that cool thing built? Well, I do, or whoever's house we do it at. We build a fire pit, or we build a cob oven, or we do, outdoor kitchen's a little bit more extravagant or whatever, but just like, an outdoor composting toilet.
Be different than like a cooking show or like some sort of demo sort of a thing like that.
Well, that's a big thing too, is creating content off of it. Can we charge enough for the workshop that we can buy all the materials, put whatever project we plan on doing, film it, make it into a show, and then have it, you know what I mean? Have every side of what we do touch it, and hopefully it's successful, because that's a lot of work. I mean, just editing all that footage down, and getting that, pieced together and put out there. What does that look like? Something that I'd like to do in the future.
Okay, well, we have a half an hour left of our show, so I want to bust through a lot of this stuff here. Strange New Worlds we talked about. We talked about Kenobi, Stranger Things, Strange New Worlds and Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
Like my brain is doing that.
Stranger
Did I say
Things.
Did I mention that already?
Stranger New Worlds.
Yes, exactly. Stranger New World things. Orville.
Yeah. So tell me about Orville. Have you seen any episodes?
I saw. I think there's 2 episodes out on the new Orville. That's on Hulu, I believe.
Is the production value increased?
Fantastic.
Okay, because that was one of the big things they said when it was going to leave Fox and go to Hulu.
And
the production
less
value
comedy.
was going to go.
Like they
really?
still have, like they're really putting like it's really getting some one episode, the first episode, more of a like we want to establish it's a world now. Orville's not a show; it's a world.
Okay.
Now. They're definitely taking things serious, and immediately off the top of my head, I can't recall the whole thing about the episode, but the first it's like definitely a more serious tone.
Okay.
Like they're really.
Well, they seem to go back and forth on that. Sometimes it's real serious, and then they'll get you really like thinking crazy. You know, like wow, what are they trying to say? Like more true to the original Star Trek series. You know, asking those questions.
Well, because like Seth MacFarlane said it himself, he's like he wants to make it like real people going through these things. So a real life isn't a comedy. Real life isn't a tragedy. It's a mix of different things. You're gonna have moments of you're gonna have moments of drama. You're gonna have conflict. You're gonna crack jokes. You're gonna have conversations. You're gonna have relationships, and it's just a wide thing. So Orville is trying to stick to that, and I think they're hitting their stride.
It's the 3rd season.
Might be.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second episode that I saw that I remember more clearly, definitely horror, definitely scarier, and dealing with certain things. Like, it's cool to see that they're, the like Orville is getting the respect that it deserves, for studio wise. Like, it's not just going to be like everyone initially, or I shouldn't say everyone. I hate that. I don't want to make bold generalizations, but the studio, they pitched the idea in order to make it happen as Family Guy in space. It's Seth MacFarlane. He's a wacky guy. We're going to do funny stuff.
Yeah, you imagine if it would have went really heavy on the humor, what would have been like?
Yeah, there's going to be like a spoof. And instead, no, it's the doing the thing and making the thing, getting it into place where they could create the thing. He steered the ship in the direction of, no, it's a legit science fiction. Like, it's a cool series.
I also wonder, too, were people thinking it was going to be more like Futurama than it would be like
that same
Family
thing, yeah.
Guy, because Family Guy's kind of lowbrow,
wacky space guy stuff.
Yeah.
And party humor and.
But it turned out to be one of the best science fiction shows.
Brilliant. When you put it up against Star Trek Discovery, it's like. And that's the common thing that I talk about with Star Trek as well. That was the thing I was discussing with somebody earlier today, because they're like, "Tell me again why you didn't like Discovery." And I said, "Because it's conflict for conflict's sake. It's you have characters that nitpick. There's no respect for the chain of command. To have a lieutenant tell a captain, you're wrong. Like, that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen in Star Trek universe, because Starfleet officers,
you wouldn't have gotten to that point.
Yeah, they respect
of your career,
right?
And then
and that Strange New Worlds is that thing now. Discovery's changed their tune. They started to more, okay, let's we don't have to be a utopia, like everything's perfect, but we can aspire to be. And that was the key to Star Trek, is aspiring to a better world, to a better place. And Discovery started to jump into that, where they got thrown there. It's like, okay, we really need to focus on, they've changed their tune and turned their focus to, let's support each other. Let's actually promote humanity and allow each other, the opportunity to be ourselves and celebrate our diversity and all this stuff. But Strange New Worlds is, and Orville is, things aren't perfect, but we can try to be better, and that we can aspire to do more. And that's the cool thing that I'm appreciating now with Orville and with Strange New Worlds. It's the thing that I appreciated with something like Legends of Tomorrow, where it's like, maybe you have quirky characters and some of the stuff is hokey, and some it's not A+ television or anything. But
we need more science fiction on television, not less.
Yeah.
And if they're going to be putting out these shows, I hope they put forth the effort that they do, when it's Strange New Worlds and stuff. Not I don't want to say, but yeah.
Yeah,
no,
because you don't want to badmouth. Sure, and
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to speak bad about any show. I mean, because there's a lot of people who make their living off of those shows. But
David in chat said it himself. He's like, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. It's the thing. It's the whole idea of Star Trek. The whole theme behind it, and it's what Next Generation was celebrated for. It's what all the series afterwards. It wasn't until Enterprise that it actually became obviously more about television and more about the production side of it, rather than telling good stories. It became about, let's make a show, and it was like it stank of it.
Yeah.
And I loved Enterprise and the potential of what Enterprise could have been, but even like the final episode that they did of Enterprise was. It's this fun show, because they end up like, let's do a throwback to Next Generation. Let's bring Riker in the holodeck and let not shitting on all the characters from the series, but kind of shitting on all the characters from the series. And it's like, it wasn't until like Strange New Worlds is doing it right, Orville's doing it right, where it's like, it's not a show, it's a story, and it's about relationships and about these themes and stuff.
Well, I think actually it would start with Lower Decks getting it right. And then Strange New Worlds.
Could very well be.
Because it definitely changed. It definitely changed, like, the story dynamics and stuff. And I just couldn't handle Discovery, dude. I mean, I think I might have made it into the second season. I can't remember. And then I'm like, well, I'm just going to wait and see if it gets any better. And then I heard from you. You're like, no, don't. just don't even. It's not worth your time to
Well,
watch this.
I say that,
now.
you know, like, yeah, it's let it breathe, let it,
Yeah.
you know, let them figure it out. Hopefully they will figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of started to do that. I mean, obviously bringing Anson Mount on and Pike and, you know, that, like, you might have jumped off
Mm-hmm.
before they actually started to realize and started making steps towards stumbling,
Yeah.
but making steps towards the Star Trek that they have now, where they're like, okay, they're starting to get it.
Yeah.
Even Picard was kind of like, wasn't.
See, I didn't even finish the first season of Picard because you mentioned not good things, and I'm like,
just because it leans too much on the meta of it. It's not about the story. It's about,
Yeah.
hey, remember this thing that you like.
my time is so precious now that if I'm going to be dedicating, you know, into a huge series, like I thought about like rewatching Babylon 5. You know, it's like, how many hours is that? How many mini movies is that? Like, that's, you know, absolutely ridiculous. You know, like, well, Jamie brought up Enterprise, that was the first one that he didn't bother to finish. You know, I really regret not watching Enterprise when it was on the air. And that was the first one that, like, had the intro music that was, like, completely different. It had lyrics or whatever. And I always know that was kind of hard for me, but I got over that eventually.
Yeah, in the moment, it had so much hanging on it that I would understand, like with Jamie and all, like the not appreciating it and not wanting to get into it. I get that, but looking back on it now, watch it because
it's a solid body of work for sure.
It's all the shit that everybody hung on it that weighed it down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you put so much baggage on it, you won't appreciate it if for what it is, because you're having the conversation about what it's supposed to be too much.
The only Trek series that I think I want to go back and like rewatch, or I never finished watching it. It was Deep Space Nine. I know there were so many stories that took place on Deep Space Nine that it would be worth the watch, especially since I need to scratch that Star Trek itch, and I'm not going to be able to do it with Brave New Worlds. I don't think I'm ever going to pay for Paramount Plus, so I'm going to have to watch it. You know. Some other means.
Yeah, I did that with Next Gen. I watched that start to finish, and that was fantastic. I had at the time the thought it'd be great to do a episodic like review of it.
It's so much work.
That's so much work. Exactly.
Yeah.
The looking straight up that.
And there's already people who do that. Like that's their whole deal on YouTube is going through and watching an episode and talking over it and doing. No.
Yeah, and I started to do that with DS9 as well. David and Jamie both agree, underrated series. Yeah. I started to do that with DS9, but then other stuff came into my life to pull me away from that. Stargate as well was another one of those things that the SG-1.
I've never done any deep dives into Stargate.
I got 3 seasons in and then kind of bailed on that.
My problem was that I didn't have Showtime when it was originally airing, and that when it was in syndication, they never played the episodes in order.
Yep.
So I'd start watching it, and I'd be like, what's going on? Like, this is cool, but, like, I don't know what that guy, what just came out of that guy? Yeah. Like, I don't know any of the lore, so it was tough for me to get into it to the point where I just never got into it.
Same with comic books and stuff like that. Like, you'd read a couple issues and then not read a couple issues for another month, and then when you do, the story's totally different. Who are these characters? What's going on?
Well, see, but that's solved with the trade paperback. So, like, that at least has been figured out. You know what I mean? Like,
so, like the streaming services and binging the series, binging seasons would be the great thing.
To be able to catch up and watch. You know, because like there's not a ton of content on Disney Plus that I really care about, but there's enough on there that it's, you know, they're with the new shows and letting the girls watch the old Disney movies and stuff, and we let them watch the new ones too. But I mean, it's a decent amount of content. But like Netflix, we were paying all that money for Netflix, and like we would watch it when a new show came out, and then we wouldn't watch anything on it for months at a time. And it's like, is that really worth it? You know, to be paying, you know, because we don't have cable, so I mean, we don't pay for cable, but you know. We do pay for, you know, Amazon. We have Prime. We have HBO free. That comes with our internet, so that's good. So we have that, and then, geez, what else? And then we watch a lot of YouTube, man.
See, Amazon.
Yeah.
Netflix, Hulu for a couple things. I don't use that hardly at all, except for maybe 1 or 2 shows.
Their commercials are horrible on Hulu. And that we had it for a while where we paid extra money to get Hulu and not have any commercials. And that was pretty cool. When we were watching a lot of TV shows, like regular TV shows, Hulu was great for that. But like, I've really cut back on the amount of programming. You know, like, it was weird when we were staying in the hotel for that convention. We watched regular TV, and it's kind of jarring if you're not used to it. You know,
yeah, true. Regular television is kind of, it's not good.
No,
it's
no, the amount of commercials that are played, and like, we tried watching a movie. What was it? I think it was like Indiana Jones or something. Like, it was just to watch something, and like there was commercials in it. And I'm like, what? It's Paramount.
Yeah.
I thought Paramount Plus was like a movie station.
Marion, come over here. We'll be right back.
Yeah,
come back.
Yeah. No,
Look, I found the Ark. No, we'll be right back.
Not a good way to watch movies. But I mean, I guess if you're poor and you have nothing else, you know, that's better than nothing. But like, we have Blu-rays now, and you know what I mean. Like, there's
if you're looking,
DVDs are like nothing, like 50 cents.
If
like
you're thinking back to who you were before DVRs, you're like, this is all. It's all you got. So you gotta like it. You gotta enjoy it. If you're gonna watch Next Generation, you gotta, you're gonna watch 10 minutes, and then it's gonna be a break. It's so sad, dude.
I love thrifting, right? So I go to Carm is the major one I go to, and I'll see these collections from old Star Trek nerds, and they have like the Next Generation or the original series, all of it on VHS, and they always ask like these obscene prices for these. Who wants to collect the original series on VHS? You know what I mean? Now, if I found it on Laserdisc, you bet your ass, if it was a good price, I would buy it. But not.
And there are so many people that wouldn't say that.
Yeah, exactly, right? But I mean, like, where are you going to store all that? Like Carm now has some older copies of Doctor Who on VHS. Now, that's kind of that. I almost thought about that. You know what I mean?
Diehard.
But like, I'm not gonna watch. I don't even have a VHS. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna watch them. So they're just gonna sit on my shelf. You know, can I sell them to like a Doctor Who fan for more than I paid? Maybe.
But then my brother's given up all of his streaming stuff, and he already cut the cable, and he wants to just collect DVDs now. So he's trying to build his library.
Or, I mean, no library of movies. Like what are you really gaining? You know what I mean? Other than diabetes and like heart conditions and like, you know, and I'm not saying like it's not bad to watch a few hours of TV. You know what I mean? But when you have people that are like 10, 12 hours a day, that's all they did was consume content. That's not healthy. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of time. That's 60, 70 hours that you're just sitting there.
Well, there are some people that put their money into alcohol to cope. There are some people that use pharmaceuticals to cope.
Yeah.
Everyone finds their way to deal with reality and to remove themselves from reality. But like, some people,
it's almost like it was designed that way, though, to be that outlet that you could just suck up all your time and energy. And
well, some people collect permaculture books and role-playing games, and
they don't play those either.
Yeah,
right.
But they want to build their they want to build their thing.
But like, who's benefiting from when a person just stays home and watches TV and just watches commercials and stuff like that? Who's benefiting? Are you benefiting? Am I benefiting? Are corporations benefiting?
Well, I would say that you would benefit. Like I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. But if I want to cope, I'll sit and I'll binge for a little while on a
I'm not saying that people shouldn't be able to. What I'm saying is that the fact that so many people consume massive amounts of media, it can't be good for them. I mean, even back in the day when we just had a TV and the whole family had to take turns watching their shows on the TV. I mean, what a foreign concept that is now. Think about how many TVs most families have.
But everybody's talked about that. Everybody's like, this can't be good for you. Like, you're just going to melt your brain.
The attention span. Even thinking of just going from normal YouTube videos are like how long? Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to the TikTok craze of 30-second to a minute-long videos. Now they've slowly made it so videos are longer. But like, you're telling me that didn't fuck with people's attention span? That you got to do like, do it for the Vine.
Yeah.
Like what were Vines? Like 15 seconds? You know, I mean, like hold your attention for that amount of time, and then I can play an ad for you. You know.
Yeah, but I mean,
you
you can put it in perspective and say the same thing that they thought about comic books, and the same thing they thought about the pulp books, the same thing that they said about like.
Oh, that's rotting kids' minds.
Yeah, rotting kids' minds, or like music did the same thing for a lot of people. It's going to rot your brain. Rock and roll is going to rot your brain.
That
you know,
crazy jazz.
People shot down the phonograph for the same reason. The fact that you're not dealing with a real thing, you're dealing with a facsimile of a thing, and it's going to ruin society. I mean, the entertainment. The people have been saying entertainment's going to ruin society.
Violent video games,
forever.
David brought up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
violent video games, GTA. Exactly.
I don't think violent video games are the reason why people flip out and kill each other.
But people have said the same thing about books. You know, if you sit and you read this trash, it's going to rot your brain and it's going to ruin society.
As soon as Gutenberg created his press and started making the Bible, people started saying that.
Yeah, but it's like there's no form of media, no form of entertainment that someone hasn't said that can't be good. But the simple fact of the matter is that, like, there are so many ways that you could separate yourself from reality just for a little bit and tell yourself a story, remind yourself of something that's more important than what's going on directly in front of you.
Is that Shantae Stokes?
Chateau.
Chateau.
That's DJ. That's the DJ.
From, that's TikTok. Right. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
And I forget his name. DJ.
He'll tell us.
But I forget the gentleman on TikTok. Hello, sir. How are you? Sorry that we haven't been on for a little bit. I've been sick and
we've had personal issues.
Yeah, and life, like we've said, life happens.
Yeah.
So Strange New Worlds, the Kenobi, Stranger Things.
Oh, he's in the hospital. Sorry to hear that, bud.
Oh man, sorry to hear.
I know you had some medical issues that you've been dealing with.
Feel better, buddy.
Yeah.
Glad that you could take some time to join us for a little bit. Maybe we can make you feel a little bit better.
Maybe Matt will make you laugh.
I don't know about that. We'll try. Legends of Tomorrow I spoke about as well. Ms. Marvel. We talked about the Disney as far as Kenobi, but as far as Ms. Marvel.
Ms. Marvel, the kid show?
Almost died. Oh, my gosh. I'm glad you did not. Miss you guys. Miss you too, bud.
Ms. Marvel, the kid show?
Yeah, Ms. Marvel on Disney Plus.
Yes, Abby and I started watching it the other day. Yeah, I should have put that on the list. Yeah.
It makes me a little bit irritated that people are just gonna dog stuff. Like already.
They're dogging that show. They're saying it's not good.
Well, a review bomb, that whole thing where people are just.
Oh, because she's ethnic.
Well, yeah, woke.
Oh,
Disney's woke, Marvel's woke, and there's a problem with that. And it's like, I hate the fact that somebody needs to just throw shit on it.
Is it okay? So is this like the same thing when the Star Wars movie was out and because it had a black guy in it and it got an Asian girl, people were complaining about it?
Yep.
Okay.
So
idiots are complaining about stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
The shocker. News at 11.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm like,
well, I saw it. It's a great show, and you should watch it if you are into Miss Marvel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Disney Plus and Marvel and the stuff that they're coming out with, appreciate it. Just watch it and appreciate it, or watch it, don't appreciate it, and don't worry about it.
Yeah,
like it's entertainment. It's
if you don't like Disney Plus or you don't like Disney, don't pay for Disney. Done.
If your clan is sitting around the fire,
you don't need to roast it or slam it in reviews or whatever. If you don't want a service, don't have that service.
If your clan is sitting around the fire and your chieftain is telling a story and you don't like the story, leave the fire. Go move to another part of the village. Go move somewhere else. Go take a shit or jump in the river or something like that. Go do something else. Like the nerds complaining about amazing things that nerds are making just seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah. Are these the same nerds that are saying Morbius is still a horrible movie?
Yeah, everything sucks. Morbius was horrible.
Did you see Morbius?
I did.
Okay.
It was fine.
It was fine? All right.
I gotta...
It was no Doctor Strange 2, for sure.
Yeah, like
But not many movies are.
I went to the theater and I saw Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I was there.
I paid 50 cents for it.
Oh, okay.
I got my money's worth. I went to Morbius.
Yeah.
I paid 50 cents for it. I got my money's worth. I'm like, if you spend an hour or two to enjoy this thing, you get your enjoyment out of it, and then you go on the rest of your day, and it might be a nice conversation to have later on. This isn't substance. This isn't something that you need to survive. This is something that we enjoy.
Yeah.
And that everyone is getting so up in arms over a show about, we're in 2022 and there's a show on streaming service, which is an option. You don't have to get the streaming service.
That
You
they
don't
get
have
all
to get
worked
Disney
up
Plus.
and they get all upset and organized to try to like talk shit about something.
Yeah,
Like you don't have better things to do with your life. This is what we're talking about earlier about people just wasting time. That's my point, man.
Yep.
People should not be wasting 14 hours out of their day in an organized campaign to trash Miss Marvel because the character is Muslim.
Yeah, check this out, Ben. So there's this multimedia corporation that designed this propaganda about a young girl living in the city of a person of color that
She wants to go to Avenger.
a particular non-white, non-Christian,
furious.
Yeah,
there can't possibly be someone who's not a Christian on TV.
Yeah, and she has friends that are male or female or otherwise that could be straight or gay or otherwise. That like here's this corporation designed this stuff and are just stuffing it in people's faces. No, it's actually I can't put up the charade.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
It's all a choice.
and that show is definitely not like it's not encouraging or saying anything else.
It's not directed towards
but there's other content
30, 40-year-old white men.
There's other content on Disney though that is doing that. So like I can see where people are coming at this where they're like, okay, well, this may be a cause for concern. That Miss Marvel show is not.
Grant Cranston, hello again. Hopefully your podcast takes off. Thank you so much,
Grant.
Appreciate your comment.
We're
appreciate the feedback.
Really happy that everybody has taken time to hang out with us today.
So there are shows that aren't directed towards me, fat old white man. They're straight. What do they call it? Cis male, cis white male, or whatever. So there are shows that are going to be about different people from different cultures. Appreciate it or don't watch it.
I don't get complaining that there's a whole bunch of gay content on TV. I just don't watch it. You know, I mean, I didn't protest the queer eye for the straight guy. I just don't watch it. I don't watch what's that horrible one, The Kardashians. I've never seen a single episode of that. I don't want to support anything that supports the Kardashians, let alone watch advertisers that are paying the Kardashians money to be on their network. You know, like that's not. I don't want to do that.
But woke is not an issue. It's not a woke issue anymore. It's about let's talk about different types of people and the different experiences other people have. It's about getting it. The Marvel is talking about mutants now. Marvel is talking about multiverses now. It's dealing with the whole thing. Like there are people that are starting to talk about the whole thing. The different types of people, different skin colors, different genders, different philosophies. The talking about humanity and superhumanity. And Ms. Marvel is one of those things where they're going to talk about young girls. Great, fantastic. It's not going to be bad. I need to go lay down and grab some. All right, get some Rush Chateau. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you for stopping in for a bit. Yes, more shows about different types of people and the stuff that they do. The fact that I'm going to watch the shit out of Ms. Marvel because it looks fun. And it looks like an interesting story.
I think we're only one episode in, and it's all right. It's a decent show. I mean, it's a kid's show. You know, it's a kid live action show, I should say.
And there are things that if you want to get something of substance out of it, you can. But there are some things that it doesn't need to be super important and ultra important. And you know, it's entertainment in the end. And so Ms. Marvel is one of those shows that that's the energy that I talk about a lot with the trolls and stuff, that complacency of I'm just going to bitch about things because I can bitch about things.
Yeah.
That's become the norm. That's been normalized and not normalizing.
It's garbage though. I mean, just complaining about problems and not coming up with any kind of solutions is stupid.
Yep.
We've gone way past that point where that's okay. It's not okay.
Right. And you're dealing with stuff like The Boys, another example of a show that I've been watching.
Yeah, we watched a little bit of the first episode.
And that's not necessarily my type of content. Like
because it's a little bit gruesome.
It's a little bit over the top.
A little bit.
Like some of that stuff is like not necessary for me, but I get the story that's underneath it, and some of it is still entertaining. I mean, you can't deny the acting abilities and the it's beautifully shot. Like I said, it's got
high production value.
You got great storylines, and the actors are fantastic. And I can't not watch Carl Urban. You know, I need he's awesome. I wish instead of redoing superheroes as minorities, they should create all new characters for today's generation.
I agree.
They really should, but
they need to stop changing the races of the characters just to appease people.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Dude, there's so much room for new characters in the Marvel Universe and the DC and all the other comic book companies that are out there. Yeah.
But this is what
new talent.
This is what you're going to have to deal with because companies are not going to get away from the value of their IP. If you have Superman, you're always going to have a Superman story. So at some point,
if we stopped reading Superman and stopped going to Superman movies, they're going to stop making them. So
I don't think so.
They're not going to make
if
movies
everybody
that nobody goes
did.
to.
If everybody did, yeah, sure, but not every. But that's not going to happen.
They're making a Black Adam.
Yeah, or like I was just saying, like with Superman. Superman is gay.
They made it that. Yeah, they made that Superman. Did they actually make the Superman gay?
Yeah, well, it's his son. It's Clark Kent's son, I believe.
Is gay?
I mean,
it's possible.
They've moved the storyline from what I recall. They moved the storyline along that I think he's at least bisexual. But
okay. Who's not?
But he's an alien, so who's to say what the heck he wants? He can be whatever he wants to be. I mean, people are. If you have an individual who's an individual, it's like it doesn't matter.
Grant bring up a really good point here about why they keep redoing not just Batman, but every single superhero. They do it so they can sell merchandising to it.
That's what I'm saying. The IP. If you have Batman and you can sell a T-shirt and you have all the if you can sell so they already made Batman, they already made the branding, they already made the products, and they're going to sell that. So why would they just let people buy that when instead they can create new stuff that people will have to buy because it's the thing that they love, and then they'll consume that and the other stuff as well. So it's all about money, sure. Not all about money, mostly about money.
It's about, a lot of it has to do with profit, for sure. And for them to continue to make sure that they're getting their paycheck.
Grease the machine, fuel the machine, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, dealing with The Boys, again, another IP, great, interesting stories, certainly stuff that you haven't seen before on TV. So I'm going to watch it. And you got guys like Juan Carlos Esposito, and like I said, Carl Urban, and I can't remember his name, but he's a Quaid. I can't remember his first name, but the Dennis Quaid's son, I think it is.
Or at least we hope.
I hope so. But it's like some great actors, some great parts, some great stories to tell. Some of it's a little bit, I'm not totally into it, but mostly into it. Grant says, I don't even understand the Disney Star Wars. I feel like Star Wars fans still watch if they made 60 minutes of a still image of a stormtrooper. Yeah, you can tell Star Wars stories over and over again, and it's going to sell. It's going to make money because new people, new eyes are going to get on it, and they're going to be like, what's this story? And so you're always going to have people, just like we talked about with Superman and Batman and all that, you're always going to have people that are going to watch it. Maybe you can't maintain the same fan over 40-year, 50-year period. That's fine.
But it's done fine. That franchise is done quite well all on its own with movies, books, cartoons.
So that's where you have to come. That's where you have to come up with you have to deal with the fact that the machine's not going to change.
No.
So go ahead and just find the thing that you like and like the thing that you like.
There's something that I don't know if everyone is aware of when it comes to DC animated is the Justice League Unlimited in series.
Any of the Bruce Timm stuff. Anything that Bruce Timm, what's his name? Bruce Timm.
I'm sure there's lots of people
Paul
who don't
Dini.
know that those even exist, that weren't really into the cartoons or like thought it was just like for kids. It's not. Like that whole series is just amazing. And I don't know, would it run like 3 seasons, 4 seasons? Absolutely incredible. The Justice League shows, the
Batman animated series,
Yeah.
Superman animated series to a certain degree.
Yep.
I don't think that was, I think
it wasn't as good as the Batman, but it was still really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah. Just mind-blowingly good. Right up there with like the X-Men animated cartoon, like how good that was. That's how good these were. But I think even better. I mean, 'cause really, to me, at least, it's the best storytelling, animated storytelling, like but episodic.
And to a lesser extent, pretty much the whole DC animated line in the past 10 years. Some amazing stuff that they've had. I watched DC animated films a while up until the Harley Quinn film. After that, I had a bad taste in my mouth and never watched anything DC again. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah. Hey, at least you gave it a long shot and watched a lot of their content.
Yeah, you can watch it for 10 years and then be like, okay, I think I'm done. That's fine to do. That's not a problem. It's not a people getting putting Kevin Smith on a tying him to the post to kill the witch sort of thing, to burn the witch, because of what he did with He-Man. It's like, don't watch it. I mean, he isn't ruining your childhood, or like everybody says. The books are still on the shelf.
Yeah.
The DVDs are still made. Like you could watch the old stuff whenever you want. That's not been taken away from you. I feel like a pre Harley Quinn, it was gold. Post Harley Quinn is styrofoam. That's fine. Sorry you feel that way, but there's a Harley Quinn series that's out that's more adult oriented.
Yeah, I didn't care for it at all either. I watched a little bit of it, and I realized that Abby shouldn't be watching it. Yeah. I'm not going to watch it. So not all of it is for me, but what stuff is out there, I enjoy. All those animated films by DC are super high quality. I mean, they're not all knocking it out of the park, but comparative to the Marvel animated films, just not a fan of a lot of it. A lot of it's like tiring. Like you watch it and you're like, oh geez, like you feel like you're working. Like I shouldn't have to watch a movie and feel like I'm working.
Yeah. Yep.
And didn't mean to crap on DC. If you still like them, yeah, we love all of it. It's just it's all within limits, though. Like because Matt doesn't have the room to collect comics anymore. You know what I mean? Like when you live in a van, it kind of cuts down on collecting on stuff. But like digital, you have your laptop, you could have a tablet, and you could read all of the comics digitally if you chose to.
I'm the type of guy that I've gotten myself into the mindset of, I just want to consume something for an hour, 2 hours that I can enjoy. A nice story that you could like kind of dive into. And I always compare it to like the nerdy stuff to like food. I want a good burger. I don't necessarily care if it's good for me. I don't necessarily care if it's something I'm going to even worry about. Like maybe I'll want something different tomorrow. It's just right now, it'd be really nice to sink my teeth into something that I can enjoy for a little bit and feel satisfied at the end of it and move on. And I'm not so deeply invested that I'm going to rant and rave about what the quality of Morbius was like, and then it wasn't like anything else in the series. And there are some conversation points, like about Morbius in particular. There are points of it that I didn't agree with, that I didn't like, that I thought should have been different. And some of it's the casting, some of it is like some of the plot points that you kind of like threw it together to make it part of the multiverse kind of a thing. Sony trying to be one of the cool kids as well, and Sony's just like kind of missed the mark every now and then. Except for the thing that Marvel has more of their contribution to, like Spider-Man. They invested a lot in Spider-Man to make it this great thing. Those same people, and a lot of different people as well, and also their scheduling issues and a whole bunch of other factors, made Morbius not as good of a film because they tried to shoehorn one story into a franchise that it didn't need. You don't need to make that connection.
Yeah, and I almost hear with Venom 2
and
that it was the same thing. That like, okay, make a Venom movie for sure, but be done with it. Don't move on. There's other stories to be told. You don't need a Venom 2. Some people would argue you don't need a Morpheus 1, but they're really stretching too, because I hear Sony is putting out some like
Are we saying Morpheus and not Morbius? Because I think you just said Morpheus and instead of made me realize that we've been saying Morpheus.
No.
Guys, let us know in chat. We've been saying Morpheus instead of Morbius.
Has Ben been saying the wrong name again?
No, just because I kind of like suddenly I'm questioning every time I've ever said the word.
It's Jared
Morbius.
Leto, right?
Jared Leto, yep.
Yeah.
But DC's guilty of that as well, where it's like, see the thing that works, and immediately we're gonna steer our ship and be exactly like that, and that's the reason why DC hasn't been successful, because they're like, we don't need to be Marvel. We don't need to do the same thing they're doing. We don't have to like multiverse. Oh, we're doing a multiverse too, guys. We're doing it's like it doesn't need to be like that. Justice League worked. Well, I mean, Avengers work. Well, Justice League needs to be Avengers. No, it doesn't. Do your own thing.
Yeah.
Red pill or blue pill. Yeah.
Well, boy, I'm getting yelled at to do chores, buddy. So I think we're gonna have to tie this episode up.
Some things that we did not mention that we will mention in the future. We got the offer. Because we were going so much into the nerd stuff that we weren't leaning into the other stuff. The Offer, great series on I think that's Paramount Plus. You can, if you have Amazon Prime Video, I think you could also get it through there as well. Top Gun. Haven't talked about movies yet, but what we do
can
in
talk
the shadows.
about Top Gun next time. Yeah, for sure.
What we do in the shadows was another one that I've watched that I've mentioned to folks. What we do in the shadows is about it's a mockumentary sort of thing, documentary type series.
That's an acquired taste too. Yeah,
it was. I binged on.
Yeah, it's a show you got to binge.
3 seasons, and it was fun.
Yeah.
But I would recommend that as well. And like I said, honorable mention, like movies and stuff that you've watched. What are the? I watched Top Gun Maverick.
No, last movie I saw in the theater was Doctor Strange. Man, I haven't been out. We just haven't really been out to the movies.
Moon Knight was something that I think we covered that before, didn't we?
I think we talked about Moon Knight. Yeah, we really enjoyed it. We thought it was great.
Disney Plus, you're getting your money's worth as far as I'm concerned. Me being a nerd, enjoying it for what
I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to like it. So,
and I'm blanking on the name. Great actor, Oscar Isaac. Great actor, and the whole thing is enjoyable as well. And blanking on his name. The villain, the Ethan
Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, fantastic guy.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to see him get old, but at least he's aging gracefully, and like he can now do old man roles now.
Yeah, he's sinking his teeth into those roles and is doing awesome. And the fact that he contributed to. His daughter is now in movies and stuff like that, and that they made a good kid. On Stranger Things, that girl, I forget her name, but did you know that? Ethan Hawke and
some supermodel.
I'm trying to remember her name.
What character?
Kill Bill. What's her name?
Oh,
Uma Thurman.
Uma
Thurman and Ethan Hawke had a daughter.
Really?
And she is the girl from Stranger Things.
The
redhead?
One
that, the blonde that hangs out with Steve.
Oh, okay.
I forget her. I forget the actress's name.
Yeah.
But she's awesome.
Yeah.
And she's got the chops of both Uma and Ethan Hawke. Like she's definitely her parents' daughter, and she's pretty awesome. Like but.
You're right. Yeah, Maya Hawke.
Yeah. I could remember. She's awesome, and that's the cool thing as well that we can enjoy as growing up, growing older.
Is there kids?
They're just all this new generation of nerds.
Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, super actors.
Haley Stanfield, Hawkeye.
Yeah, I know. She's awesome.
I dig the new girl. I forget her name. It plays Kamala Khan in Ms. Marvel. I dig, like I said, the Stranger Things kids that coming into their own. And can create some great stuff. All the new actors, like I was mentioning before, like with the Disney Plus stuff and Star Trek and Star Wars, you have all these great properties that are bringing like newer generations in. Some cool stuff. And if I could send anybody away, myself, something good to watch, if you have Netflix, totally unrelated to anything else we've talked about, but they did a tribute to Bob Saget on Netflix as well. Where they were at the Comedy Store in LA, and they had Jim Carrey was on there, Chris Rock, Jeffrey Ross, John Stamos was there, John Mayer, Jackson Brown showed up.
Wow, star-studded event.
Yeah, they had Byron Allen showed up for a little bit. Like the really cool things. It was unfortunate to.
They ever find out, like, who killed him?
No. I have no idea.
It was really suspicious because he said like his brain was scrambled, like his whole head, like it got like something horrible happened. Yeah, that I didn't hear anything about. But Jamie says it was great.
It was really cool to watch.
I got to put my ducks away, buddy.
Okay, yeah,
I don't want any wild animals attacking my ducks.
Interesting stuff also happened that we will have to talk about at another time.
Next time.
But we ran out of time. But we want to thank everybody for showing up. Guys, thanks for joining the chat. Thanks for joining us if you watch this on replay. And no matter what the case, please leave a comment and let us know what you think. We'd love the feedback. It helps us. It helps inform the next shows that we do.
It does.
Next time you'll see us on Saturday on Facebook.
You'll see one of us on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be doing another show as well. And as always, follow us if you haven't followed us yet. Please share the broadcast with your friends. Always nice to make new friends. You can visit us all over the interwebs at 3231 on all social media. You can go to 323.1 to check on our socials, put a tip in the tip jar. Just connect with us. We want connection. So connect with us, and we hope you enjoy.
We do accept Bitcoin.
Whatever.
We do.
We'll take it.
Just so people know. If you want to get rid of any Bitcoin, you might have.
We'll take it. But thank you guys very much for watching. And again, we love you all very much. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you soon. Love you. Bye.